Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and this is Otaku Go, an otaku cultural series where we talk about our different interests in anime and manga. While I count myself as a pretty big Gundam fan, I do like a fair bit of anime and manga that exists outside of Gundam. One of my new hobbies though is collecting figurines, and one of the first ones I've started off with here is Yuno from Black Clover. Our man behind the scenes, Danik, has helped me out greatly through this journey, as he's been collecting figures for a while now, and we thought it'd be fun to share our collective journey with you all into this new hobby. If you're unaware of Black Clover, it is a fairly long-running shonen and kind of the new generation that started along with My Hero Academia. Black Clover is a magical world where we have 4 different kingdoms, all corresponding with the suits of a deck of cards: the heart, spade, clover, and diamond. I had to think about that way too long. But this is Yuno of the Clover Kingdom. Being born as a peasant on the far reaches of the Clover Kingdom, it was assumed he would not be able to wield very powerful magic, but on everyone's 15th birthday they get a grimoire which will hold all of their spells. These grimoires are kind of recycled throughout the ages, and Yuno is gifted or chosen by a 4-leaf grimoire, one of the most powerful to exist, and not only that, it's very similar, if not the same, as the base version of the one of the original Wizard King. Needless to say, well, Yuno is not the main character, he is super powerful, and he's the main character's rival, so understandably he's going to be a little OP here and there. Now, in the configuration we see the figure, he is now part of the Golden Dawn, one of the more prestigious squads of the Magic Knights of the Clover Kingdom. He has his full uniform here, so he's been with the Golden Dawn for at least a little while, and likely, if I'm remembering from the animation and I think the manga, he is also chosen by the Wind Spirit Sylph at this point, so he's not only really strong in wind magic already, along with the 4-leaf Clover Grimoire, but he also has a wind spirit on his side, so he's very, very powerful. This uniform, of course, looks very regal, and it is very thoughtfully replicated. Now, on the box we get to see a very nice looking picture of the figure. The face sculpt looks nice. I think the hair might be a little too wild, but I don't think it's that far off. We have a nice little cloak that goes over the top of him, a little half cloak with a cape on it. We have a nice little Golden Dawn logo, some blue cords. We have the white, red, golds of the main uniform itself. And then, of course, Black Clover and the blue Bandai logo, as Banpresto is made by Bandai. On the side, we have a slightly different angle, but the same general idea of what Yuno's going to look like. The back, a lot less information than some of the Sega figures we've looked at fairly recently, but still very nice. And then on the other side, we do get a nice picture of Yuno and Asta, who is the main character of Black Clover, together. I didn't pick up Asta just because I think Yuno looks significantly better, and this Asta just does not look great to me. I'm hoping they'll come out with a slightly different version, maybe with multiple swords in the near future, or one where he looks more like his anime counterpart than his very early, really rough-looking manga counterpart, but I'll keep holding my breath. Anyway, once we get onto the actual plastic, Yuno looks phenomenal. I love this version of Yuno. I love his uniform being very crisp, very clean, very regal, and it's all painted incredibly well. The wrinkles and ripples in it look great. The buttons and all the gold accents are very clean. There's not a lot of sloppy paint here and there. It's not scuffed up or anything of that nature. It just generally looks very good and very crisp, as you would expect for the Golden Dawn. As I said, it's the most prestigious of the Magic Knight squads in the Clover Kingdom, so they're going to look pretty on point. Now we also get to see his sleeves and little cuffs at the end, being in red, gold, and blue, or blue, gold, and red, technically. Very nice. All the coloration here, well, there's a lot of color on this figure, all blends fairly well. The series does have a fairly, I won't say unique, but a little chaotic art style here and there, and sometimes it's very basic, just depends on the character. But generally speaking, I think this representation of this character looks great. The action pose, well, maybe looking a little awkward for some figures, I think works well for a wind magician or a mage who practices wind magic who can fly, and you've got a bunch of different kind of motion here. He's kind of flying off at an angle. You've got the cape kind of billowing around him, and the cape's also very, very nice looking. The shading on the cape is something I want to talk about, actually. It's really nice. I didn't expect this. For a cape on a figure like this, it is reasonable to say that for a fairly like $20, $30 figure, you wouldn't necessarily get a lot of shading, but you have a nice amount here, at least on the cape. There's not a lot that you'd really expect on the rest of the figure, as it's not gonna have a lot of shadow to it, but it is cool that it's here. Now, once we kind of move from the cape, the little cloak on top looks nice. I would have liked the trim or kind of the threads on the outer rim of the cloak to be slightly darker gold or maybe slightly more metallic to where it shines out a little bit more, but that's a very minor nitpick, and it's not even something I'm 100% is screen accurate, so kind of ignore me on that one. The face sculpt looks great. The cord looks great. The Golden Dawn logo looks really good. I don't remember it being painted in the show, so I'm pretty sure this is screen accurate as well. Like I said, the really very, very minor complaint I have with the sculpt is the hair, and I think it's a little too wild. But if he is flying, I can kind of see it, and he has kind of that spiky anime hair to begin with, so it might be a little exaggerated, but it's not too over the top in my opinion. As we move down past the cloak, like I said, the main body is very clean. That gold paint looks great. The red paint looks great. Not a lot to really talk about here other than the little blue pendant he has on him. That's cool, but it gets covered up by so much that you kind of have to look for it. Once we get down to the waist, though, we do see his little holster, I guess, or carrying case for his grimoire. It covers up most of the grimoire, but we do get a nice variation of colors through here, where we have the kind of brown leather on the outside, we have the kind of a golden green color for the book, and then we have a different color for the pages on the inside. So it is cool that they didn't just mold the book and the pages all in one color. They actually went through, took the time, and painted that up. The legs are nothing special to write home about. It would have been cool to see like a racing stripe down the side of the leg instead of it being fully white, but that wouldn't be screen accurate, so I don't know why they would do it. I think that design would look better and kind of flow with everything, but it might have been too busy. It's just me. The boots look nice. They have a nice golden trim on the top, and the kind of different finish on them does help distinguish it a little bit from the rest of the figure without being too obnoxious. The stand is nothing special to write home about, but it is cool that it holds it at this angle and it's fairly stable, so that's nice. Overall, I have to say, I'm really pleased with Yuno, honestly. I really wish that Banpresto would have made Asta look even a fraction of good as Yuno. I don't know. I like both characters fairly equally, and there's a lot of characters in Black Clover that I hope get this treatment, but I'm just so really just disappointed in how they did Asta. They did give him 3 different versions in the same mold. As much as I dislike the mold, it is cool that we have like a sepia version that's supposed to represent more of the manga look in terms of coloration. You have the regular version, so it's going to have more like the blue and the brown, but that's really the only major difference, and some red accents here and there. And then you get a like half demon version that has, I think, maybe a slightly different mold because it's got a wing on the back, but the sword looks really flat. The mold, like I said, is very manga adjacent, which isn't terrible. It's just the early volumes, a good portion of the Black Clover manga is rough. Like, you compare very like first couple of chapters to like now, of course there's a huge difference, but there's been an evolution in the way that Asta's been drawn, and he just looks so much better now that I really hope that we see more Black Clover figures soon, because I need an Asta to go with my Yuno, and Yuno just looks so much better. I don't want to get that Asta and be like, well, I'm going to replace you in a couple months. But anyway, let me know in the comments down below, have you watched Black Clover? What do you think? Do you have that Asta? Is it not as bad as I'm thinking it is? And what other hobbies do you guys have? Like I said, this is a fairly new hobby for me and Danik. So we want to know, what do you guys like to do? Do you collect anime figures? Do you like to watch different anime or read different manga? Do you like live action television shows, horror movies, cooking, cars, whatever it may be? Let us know. We're always interested to hear kind of what you guys have going on in your lives. But I've been the Spicer. Please do your best to stay safe and keep on collecting.